Lesson 26. We continue reading the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, chapter 1. And we arrived at Sutra 33. The asanas propounded by Shiva are 84 in number. Of those, I shall describe 4, which are the quintessence. So, Svatmarama makes an interesting jump here. First, he introduced us to the exercises, asanas, proposed or supported by Vajrasana and Machendra. Now, he introduces 4 that are, he used the word propounded by Shiva, which is God, with which he indicates that you are looking at something special here. The previous asanas introduced, propounded by Vajrasana and Machendra, they were already special. They were sages, after all. But now you get 4 exercises, the quintessential part of a total number of 84 exercises that are, in fact, from the holy source, God Shiva. This is all symbolical language to indicate there is something following here that you need to pay attention to. It has a special meaning. It has, those exercises have, let me say those exercises are quite powerful. And the reason why they're powerful is all 4 of those quintessential exercises propounded by Shiva are typical Kundalini exercises. And it is the Kundalini effect, of course, that is responsible for the big transformations that yoga offers. 34 Sutra. These 4, Siddha, Padma, Simha, and Bhadra, are the most excellent. Of these 4, the most comfortable Siddhasana can always be assumed. Now it's interesting that Svatmarama tells us that Siddhasana is the most comfortable of those 4. I do not agree, and I'm pretty sure that you are not going to agree after you have tried Siddhasana. Siddhasana is a very typical exercise. That is, there are in fact mudras based on Siddhasana because of its typical nature. Now, let's have a look how it works. Sutra 35. The Siddhasana is now described. Press the perineum with the base of the left heel and place the other foot firmly above the pubis. Keep the chin steadily on the breast. Remain motionless with the sense organs under control, and with steady vision, look at the spot between the eyebrows. This is called Siddhasana. It throws open the door to emancipation. That is quite something. First, the practical part. Press the perineum with the base of the left heel. What you do here is you're going to sit on your heel. So the heel pointing up, you place in the center of the perineum. For a man, that is the root of the penis. For a woman, that is the entrance of the vagina. So Svatmarama is saying that this is the most comfortable of poses. I do not know where he gets that from. It's not comfortable, but I will explain why you do something like this. But first, let's get the technique right. You sit on your heel, then you, if you can, you put the other foot, as described in the sutra. You put, it's like a half Padmasana, a half lotus. What is important is that you do not sit back. because then your full weight is on your heel. That is very uncomfortable. So you tilt your pelvis, your back is slightly hollow, and you put your hands on your knees. And some part of your weight, possibly 2/3 of your weight, is on your knees, while 1/3 of your weight is on your heel. Then it's important that you don't end up sitting like this. So use your muscles in your thighs and your hips to make yourself sit with the hips level. Then, interesting is that he tells us, keep the chin steadily on the chest, not breast. That is a stupid translation error. Keep the chin steadily on the chest. Remain motionless with the sense organs under control, and with steady vision look at the spot between the eyebrows. This is a meditation exercise, an energy control exercise. So you apply the throat lock, energy rises up, but does not exit. So you build up, you accumulate. This is a very typical Kundalini exercise. Then remain motionless with the sense organs under control means you're meditating. You don't allow yourself to be distracted by outside influences. And with steady vision, look at the spot between the eyebrows. That you do not do literally. That is concentration on the spot here, which is what we do with nada concentration. This is asymmetric, so after a while, you come off your heel, let it settle down, allow the energy to settle down, and then switch. Now why? Why do you sit on your heel? Why would you do something so uncomfortable? Why is this a powerful Kundalini exercise? Many people, because of psychological reasons, lack consciousness in the bottom of the pelvis. That is the location of Muladhara chakra, which is the chakra that contains everything related to fear, but also animal sex, animal sexuality. The instinctive form of sexuality without romance. So many people are lacking consciousness in the pelvic bottom, but how can you let Shakti energy, leave alone Kundalini, rise through Surya Bindu if you have no consciousness there? Why do you sit on the heel? It's impossible not to have consciousness in the pelvic bottom because of the discomfort that you create in this way. It's impossible to ignore Muladhara chakra and what lies in the center, Surya Bindu. Then you close your eyes, you stretch up your neck, tuck in the chin, and you meditate. What do? Visualize large amounts of energy rising up, starting from the discomfort in the pelvis, in the groin. So you focus on that discomfort, you concentrate on nada, and you visualize huge amounts of energy rising up. If you sit for a little while and you do this, you can actually feel the heat on your cheeks, like when you are blushing. When you are embarrassed about something and you're blushing in your face, you can feel that heat, which shows that it really, really works. Okay, when you're done, come off your heel slowly. The mudras that I mentioned are exercises that are more powerful than pranayama. And there are some mudras that are based on this principle of sitting on the heel for the same purpose. This is called Siddhasana. Siddha, by the way, A Siddha is a person who possesses siddhis, which are supernatural or paranormal abilities, which we talked about before, which everybody has, potentially, but that those abilities do not manifest because the energy is lacking. So that the fact that it carries this name is also symbolically a reference to the specific quality of this exercise. It leads to transformation, which all the yoga asanas, of course, do, but in a much more efficient and powerful way compared with the other asanas. And that applies to all four of these exercises. The quintessential exercise asanas propounded by Shiva. It throws open the door to emancipation. What is emancipation? Emancipation is a form of liberation. Is where you not only discover your true self, your true characteristics, but also manifest. You put your foot down and you say to the world, this is who I am. And I'm sick and tired of playing the role that you have forced upon me through my upbringing, my culture, my education, expectations from society and the government. No, this is who I really am. And from now on, this is who I'm going to be. That is emancipation. Empowerment. Empowerment of the self, the individual. And that is what yoga does in general. And apparently these powerful poses in particular. 36. According to another view, placing the left ankle above the pubis and keeping the other ankle above it, it is Siddhasana. Some say 37. Some say this is Siddhasana. Others know it as Vajrasana. Some call it Muktasana, and others speak of it as Guptasana. There is another way of Svatmarama. First of all, there is not one sutra dedicated to this asana, not two sutras. Here already a third sutra, but he will continue up until Sutra 44. He will continue to only emphasize the value of Siddhasana, which is about it's about 10 sutras for one asana only. That just means it's very significant what we're looking at here. But what he does with this Sutra 37 is also bringing home the message of the value of this exercise. I will explain. Siddhasana, you already know what that means. That is, a Siddha is a person that possesses supernatural, paranormal abilities. But it is also known as Vajrasana, and that is very interesting and indicative of the quality of this asana. Vajra is a flash of lightning. When you have bad weather and there is a flash of lightning, which is of course symbolism for the energy that rises up. Not just energy, but a flash of energy, a huge amount of energy, like as with the bad weather, flash of lightning occurring during bad weather. The third way of addressing this exercise is Muktasana. Mukta is referring to liberation, which is of course one of the highest goals in yoga, that you truly liberate yourself. Others speak of it as Guptasana, and Guptasana means, Gupta means protection or protector, which is a reference to the strength that you develop with all this energy, not only physically but also psychologically, emotionally. the strength, the health that comes out of the practice of this. So he is using 4 different names to symbolically emphasize the quality and the importance, the power of this asana. And he continues, Sutra 38, the Siddhas know that as among yamas, a moderate diet is the most important, and among niyamas, harmlessness, so among all asanas is the Siddhasana. 39, of the 84 postures, one should always practice Siddhasana. It purifies the 72,000 nadis. So we were introduced to energy with the nadis Ida and Pingala. And then there was a third nadi or channel called, what's it called again?
Sushumna.
Thank you, Sushumna nadi. But there are not only 2 energy channels in the body. Of course, there are in fact 72,000 energy channels. If you know a little bit about traditional medicine, like Korean traditional medicine, also uses the same number of 72,000 energy channels throughout the whole body. So Ida and Pingala, and then that third channel, that is just symbolism, right? And the reason why this Siddhasana is purifying, any exercise that generates large amounts of energy and accelerates the circulation of energy leads to purification of the energy channels. The purification means the obstacles being cleansed out, obstacles that normally make us sick as human beings, but also purification also entails that the capacity of the energy channels gradually increases if we continue practicing. 40. The yogin who contemplating the self and following a moderate diet continually practices the Siddhasana during 12 years obtains fulfillment. This is the Hatha Yoga approach. If you practice Siddhasana every day, you will reach the highest goal, liberation, enlightenment, just full development in 12 years. It is also said, Hatha Yoga leads to fulfillment in 12 years. Raja Yoga, however, leads to fulfillment in only 4 years. What is the difference? With Raja Yoga, you have this enormous study of all the whole philosophy of yoga, which is not superficial. It's about humankind. It's about your own psychology. And when you practice yoga without the study of the philosophy, you evolve, you grow, you transform. But for a large part, the changes are taking place subconsciously. You feel that you change, you know that you have changed, but you don't know exactly what happened. How you feel different, but you don't know exactly why and how. When you study the philosophy of yoga, it's very clearly explained, everything that is expected to happen with you. And not only that, we know of the diseases of the disciple, which is those things that you can get into trouble with as a result of your increased sensitivity and consciousness, and you receive all the tools that help you to deal with that in a constructive way, so that you do not end up in emotional distress. (41) When the Sitasana is mastered, of what use are the various other asanas? When the vital energy is well restrained by the practice of Kevala Kumbhaka, the Unmani Avastha, which gives delight, arises of its own without effort. Now, this sutra seems to just suggest that you can ignore all other asanas if you practice Siddhasana every day. Energy-wise, that may be true in the same way that people who have many Buddhists and yoga practitioners, yogis, advanced practitioners will or believe that if you have laid the foundation with years of practice of asanas, the physical component, it will be sufficient to just focus on meditation alone. And to some extent, that can be true, because meditation is in fact a more powerful way of energy maintenance than asana is. But my personal experience shows me that to be in the best condition possible, I prefer to continue practicing asanas, various kinds of asanas. So I have my daily routine, which I just continue to practice throughout decades of yoga. When the vital energy is well restrained by the practice of Kevala Kumbhaka, that is interesting. I think I have explained Kevala Kumbhaka before. It means spontaneous pranayama. So pranayama is designed to restore our natural ability to have unrestrained and unpolluted management of the energy household. So with practice pranayama, you restore the natural, spontaneous ability to have a optimal energy flow, and if you have done that for several years, you reach a point where simply establishing a disturbance in your balance will kind of push the buttons to restore harmony, sattva, without inflow, kumbhaka, outflow, kumbhaka. So it becomes more natural to restore your harmony, your sattva, without having to go through the whole framework. That is basically the meaning of Kevala Kumbhaka. So practice of pranayama restores that ability to come back to sattva without having to go through the whole framework. The reason that he mentioned this, again, is symbolical language for emphasizing the power of this exercise. Unmaniya Vashta is the condition of the crown chakra being open. It gives delight that arises of its own without effort. Feeling good without needing any outside stimulation. Because when you're healthy, you're in good spirits, you feel good, regardless of the circumstances. And you don't need outside stimulants to be happy, to be joyful. The opposite is also true. If you're in a poor condition, low in energy, you naturally have a tendency to be dark and moody. 42. When there is complete mastery of the Siddhasana alone, the three bandhas follow naturally and without effort. Three bandhas, Jalandhara Bandha, Mula Bandha, and Uddiyana Bandha. The three bandhas we practice in the Kumbhaka stage during pranayama. I explained at that time, at the introduction of Nadishodhana Pranayama, that the bandhas are in fact not purely physical, but they simply occur when you actually sit straight. With your spine, your pelvis tilted, your spine straight, and your neck erect. And it is a gentle engagement of the muscles, in fact, so not a conscious squeezing of any muscle group. So this is being confirmed here. 43. There is no asana like the Siddha, no kumbhaka like Kevala, no mudra like the Kechari, and no laya like that of the inner sound, Nada. He just keeps on piling in it. He keeps piling it on. He keeps on telling us how important Siddhasana is. In the beginning, he used only one sutra to describe an asana. And then, a little bit more important asana, they got 2 sutras to describe them. Here, it seems like he can't stop. This was then the last one about Siddhasana. So we go on to the next. The second of those 4 quintessential asanas propounded by Shiva is Padmasana. Then the Padmasana is described. Place the right foot on the left thigh and the left foot on the right thigh. Cross the hands behind the back and firmly take hold of the toes. Place the chin on the chest and look at the tip of the nose. This is called Padmasana. It destroys the diseases of the self-restraint. The diseases of the self-restraint, I called it the diseases of the disciple. First, Padmasana. What is described here actually is a variation of Padmasana. This is Padmasana. And when we did this before, I explained that when I made summer vacation trips to southern France with my brothers, I used to sit like this for an hour after driving 4 hours and being exhausted, while my brothers would put the seat back and try to sleep. I would sit straight in Padmasana and be totally refreshed after an hour. Totally refreshed and rested. This is a Kundalini pose. And maybe you have to try yourself when you're really exhausted, instead of lying down, to actually sit like this for 10-15 minutes and see how quickly you recover from your exhaustion simply by sitting like this. You don't have to do any meditation technique or anything, just sit straight and you can listen to nada, but nothing complicated. Very powerful, very restorative. What is described here is Baddha Padmasana, where you grab your feet with your arms around your back. Now, when I used to be more emaciated or have less samgyeopsal around my waist, I was able to grab both feet, but that is just not going to work anymore. Padmasana. Of course, it's asymmetric, so you switch 45, 46, so this is 2 sutras in one. Another view, place the feet with effort, soles up on the opposite thighs, and place the hands, palms facing upwards, between the thighs. I guess that is something like this. Direct eyes to the tip of the nose and place the tip of the tongue at the root of the front teeth and the chin on the chest, and slowly raise upwards the prana. The previous sutra also said, direct the eyes to the tip of the nose. That will make you end up like this. That is not what we do. This is about Muladhara Chakra. in the center of the head. Muladhara, Svadhisthana, and expanding until you end up in Ajna Chakra. So it's about meditation. It's just an indication that it's a meditation exercise, just like with Siddhasana. Here the interesting part is that you push the tongue against the upper teeth. And why do you do that? That is a technique also known in martial arts and Buddhism. This is the lower jaw, the upper jaw, and the nose. Not bad, huh? Looks a little bit like Beavis from Beavis and Butthead. So, to push your tongue against the upper teeth, you create a connection here. Because the outline of the body has a meridian that is called the governor's meridian. It goes all the way around, but then it's interrupted at the mouth, and you connect the open ends by pushing the tongue against, so you make the circle full. It's something, of course, that has a very subtle impact on the practitioner. So most people won't feel any effect or any difference as a result of this. But there are many Buddhist practitioners and also in Kung Fu, in martial arts, this technique is actually being practiced. Then slowly raise upward the pranayama, the prana. Prana is energy. So you put your hands in your lap and you concentrate, meditate, focusing on energy, rising up. You visualize. You use the power of the mind, thought, to make energy rise up. 47. This is called Padmasana. It destroys all diseases. Ordinary persons cannot attain it. Only the intelligent on the earth attain it. So, strange. Only ordinary person cannot attain it, only the intelligent. That is, of course, what we have seen before, where Svatmarama tells us to find proper initiation into the secrets of yoga. So anybody can attain this. It's not that ordinary people cannot attain this. If ordinary people can find a proper teacher, they can attain it too. So the intelligent of the earth, there's no distinction here other than those who know a properly initiated teacher who can teach them how it works. That is basically the meaning of this. 48. Assuming well the Padmasana with the palms one upon the other, another variation, fix the chin firmly upon the chest and contemplating in the mind, repeatedly raise the apana upwards and bring the prana just drawn in downwards. Repeatedly raise apana. Apana prana, that is the energy of Muladhara chakra. So this indicating this is Kundalini generating exercise. And the energy that you let flow down, we have come across this before, where I explained the symbol in the heart in the form of the Star of David that has one triangle pointing up, representing the energy that rises, which is then met by energy by a triangle pointing down, which represents energy that comes down, but not only comes down, but in such amount that it leads to a balancing out on the level of the heart, which is one of the highest goals in yoga, is that you start functioning from the heart, which is a representative from the crown chakra. And that happens when that phenomenon occurs, that energy is sattvic, where there are equal amounts of energy coming together at the level of the heart chakra. There's an attachment to Sutra 48 on the next page. By this a man obtains unequaled knowledge through the power of Kundalini. How is unequaled knowledge related to energy? Well, yoga in the past, long before education existed, was the form of education. Because ancient people came to the conclusion that if you fuel the higher chakras, people develop intellect. Intellect allows you to reason. And then beyond that, it fuels the opening up of the crown chakra, where you develop deep insight. So when the crown chakra opens up, you become a natural scientist. Not based on theories, but based on sheer contemplation. That is how ancient people developed insight into the cosmos, into the universe, without having telescopes or any other sophisticated technology. That's how they developed insight in microcosmos, in the form of atoms and molecules. Ancient people had of course not accurate, but they had a pretty good idea of the molecular structure of atoms and what have you, which is invisible to the eye. But in contemplation, they figured it out in some way. So all science in the past was based on this ability to contemplate. Now it is more a matter of studying many books and lots of theories and attending colleges from reputed professors. That gives you a basis, a diploma, but the real science is only done if you develop the ability to contemplate. So there are in fact many highly educated people who are not, in this sense of the word, are not true scientists, because they have a good grasp of the field that they studied, but they are merely repeating what has already been done. But a real scientist has a foundation, an academic foundation, but based on that develops new insights or comes up with new inventions, revolutionary new inventions. That is true science. Those things cannot be learned from a book. It's something that you possess in the form of the crown chakra being active. That is what this means. That the Kundalini, the Padmasana, leading to Kundalini, and through this, human being obtains unequaled knowledge through the power of Kundalini. 49, and the last one for today. The yogi seated in the Padmasana posture, by steadying the energy drawn in through the nadis, becomes liberated. There can be no doubt about that. Questions? The wonderful benefits that are described here, we've only studied two asanas, Siddhasana and Padmasana. And both, he just cannot stop pouring praise on the wonderful benefits and effects of those two asanas. But it's not only those two asanas that have wonderful benefits. They may be extraordinarily powerful in comparison with other asanas, but it is my experience that all asanas, even the simplest asanas, lead to the same developments and lead to the same effects. So just keep up your practice, don't make it too complicated, and follow your feeling and see how change comes. I told you in the previous session when we were doing asana, in Vajrasana, that when you stay a bit long in the pose and you sit down, you feel that nice sensation overflowing or overwhelming you. That is the sattva that you are causing or triggering by staying steady, consolidating in any kind of asana, because this happens with any kind of asana. And so it is very important that you take your time after each asana to rest, to let that energy settle down, because most people are inclined, restless, impatient, and will quickly move to the next exercise. And that you really should not do, because you throw away the most wonderful element of your practice by not taking time to rest in between. And when I started practicing yoga, I told you that I fell in love with yoga and became addicted to yoga especially because of that nice feeling. At that time, I did not know yet that it is sattva, never heard of that word, and I also did not know that it is that change in your energy household that leads to enormous change. Because in the end, that is what really happened. Yoga on the surface was just a good feeling. But from a longer term perspective, it had totally changed my life. From the very beginning, it totally changed my life, and it continued to change my life. And that is that feeling that you get in the end, ultimately, is responsible for that, because sattva is responsible for those transformations. Enjoy the feeling and just allow those changes to manifest, because they will manifest, and even faster than you think. Okay, let's have a short break.